Beatrice Thompson, the venerable matriarch of a prominent and affluent family, departed this world on a tempestuous autumn night, leaving an immense chasm in the hearts of her family and the Charleston, South Carolina, community. The rain fell in relentless sheets, as though the heavens themselves wept for the loss of such a remarkable woman. Beatrice, a beacon of strength and perseverance, had graced the earth for 82 years, her life a testament to her unwavering resolve and boundless inspiration. She faced her trials with a courage that captivated all who knew her. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. As a single mother, Beatrice embraced the challenge of raising her firstborn, Lucas, born from a relationship that had failed to endure. Undeterred by society's harsh judgments and scornful gazes, she poured her heart and soul into providing Lucas with a life of dignity and respect. Her determination was a shield against the world's cruelty, and her relentless efforts ensured her son's well-being despite the adversity they faced. In the course of her remarkable life, Beatrice met Robert Thompson, a distinguished businessman who was deeply moved by her fortitude and tenacity. Their love story was one of profound connection and mutual admiration, culminating in marriage and the birth of two more cherished children, Peter and Sophia. Though their union was blessed with years of happiness, it was tragically cut short when Robert perished in a car accident, leaving behind a legacy of love and devotion. Life for Beatrice and her children continued, with Lucas venturing out to chase his dreams, while Peter and Sophia remained close, basking in the comforts of the opulent life their mother had worked so hard to build. The passage of time saw Beatrice's influence and generosity touch many lives, her reputation not merely defined by her immense wealth, but also by her philanthropic spirit and unyielding strength. On that fateful rainy day, the news of Beatrice's passing rippled through the town, evoking a wave of sorrow interspersed with speculation. Her monumental fortune was the subject of much curiosity, but it was the depth of her character and the breadth of her contributions that truly defined her legacy. Beatrice Thompson was more than a symbol of wealth. She was a pillar of resilience and a paragon of grace, her memory forever etched in the hearts of those she left behind. On the morning following the sorrowful departure of Beatrice Thompson, the family's seasoned lawyer, Mr. Armstrong, commenced the intricate process of organizing the reading of her will. Beatrice, ever the shrewd and forward-thinking matriarch, had meticulously detailed her wishes, ensuring her children were summoned to her opulent mansion, a historic estate that symbolized the grandeur and elegance that had defined her illustrious life. This estate, with its storied past and resplendent architecture, was more than just a residence. It was a monument to Beatrice's legacy and the life she had built with such determination and grace. Lucas, now a 45-year-old man, received the news of his mother's passing with profound sadness and a heavy heart. His relationship with Beatrice had been one of deep emotional connection and mutual respect. She had been his guiding star, teaching him the values of simplicity, honesty, and resilience. The news struck him with the weight of finality, bringing with it a flood of cherished memories. "She was a warrior to the very end," Lucas said with a voice thickened by grief, speaking to Mr. Armstrong over the phone. He clutched a worn photograph of Beatrice holding him in her arms during his childhood. The image, now tinged with nostalgia and sorrow, captured a moment of pure love and care, reinforcing the profound impact she had on his life. Meanwhile, Peter and Sophia, upon learning of their mother's death, shifted their focus to the practicalities of inheritance. Their reactions were marked by a sense of urgency and a palpable ambition. "What did she leave for us?" Sophia asked with a mixture of eagerness and concern, her eyes reflecting a sharp glimmer of ambition as she pondered the future. Peter, equally engaged in the matter, echoed her sentiments. "I hope she was fair. We deserve our share," he responded, his tone hinting at both hope and apprehension. Their thoughts were consumed by the legacy Beatrix had left behind, and their minds raced with questions about how her considerable fortune would be divided. The Thompson mansion, with its grandiose white columns and meticulously manicured gardens, stood as a silent witness to the unfolding drama. On this dreary, rainy day, the mansion's imposing facade seemed even more solemn. The clouds hung low, casting a muted light over the estate, while the gentle rain fell in a rhythmic drizzle, adding a layer of melancholy to the atmosphere. The once vibrant estate now appeared cloaked in a somber shroud, mirroring the internal turmoil of Beatrice's children as they prepared to face the reading of the will. As Lucas, Peter, and Sophia arrived at the mansion at different intervals, each carried with them their emotional burdens and personal reflections. Lucas, carrying the weight of grief and nostalgia, arrived with a contemplative demeanor. Peter and Sophia, with their minds occupied by thoughts of inheritance and their future, approached the mansion with a sense of urgency and expectancy. The mansion's grandeur, with its stately columns and lush, rain-kissed gardens, seemed to absorb and reflect the complex emotions of the heirs. The scene was a poignant reminder of the life Beatrice had lived and the legacy she had left behind, now shrouded in the quiet, persistent rain that echoed the depth of their collective feelings. Lucas, the eldest of Beatrix's children, was the first to arrive at the mansion. He parked his modest, weathered car at the grand entrance, the contrast between his vehicle and the opulent estate stark and pronounced. Taking a deep breath, Lucas stepped out of the car, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on him. Unlike his younger siblings, Lucas had always been a figure of quiet humility and selflessness. While Peter and Sophia chased the glittering allure of wealth and status, Lucas devoted his life to causes that uplifted others, embracing a life of purpose over opulence. As he gazed at the mansion's imposing facade, memories of his mother's unwavering support and the simpler times they shared washed over him. With a sigh laden with both nostalgia and sorrow, he murmured to himself, "Mom, I hope you found the peace you so richly deserve," before making his way towards the grand entrance. Shortly thereafter, the roar of a sleek sports car cut through the rain-drenched stillness. Peter arrived with an air of commanding presence, the engine's growls seemingly an extension of his impatience. He emerged from the car, adjusting his meticulously tailored, designer suit with an air of practiced nonchalance. "I hope this doesn't drag on," Peter remarked curtly, glancing at his gold wristwatch as if the time were a precious commodity he could ill afford to squander. His preoccupation with wealth and status was evident in every move he made, and the prospect of a delay stirred his irritation. To Peter, the day's proceedings were a mere formality, an inconvenient interruption to his meticulously planned schedule. Soon after, Sophia arrived in a similarly luxurious vehicle, her entrance marked by an aura of refined elegance. As she stepped out of the car, her poised demeanor contrasted sharply with the underlying cold ambition in her eyes. She approached Peter with a calculated grace, her voice tinged with a sharp edge. "Peter, do you think Mom left something substantial for us?" she inquired, her gaze never wavering. Peter shrugged in response, his ambition mirroring hers. "I hope so. After all, we deserve our share," he replied, the note of entitlement in his tone clear. The scene at the Thompson mansion was a poignant blend of emotional depth and personal agendas. As Lucas, Peter, and Sophia gathered, the mansion's grandeur, cloaked in the melancholic rain, served as a backdrop to their divergent reactions. Each sibling carried their expectations and sentiments, creating a charged atmosphere that would soon unfold as they faced the reality of their mother's will. Inside the grandiose Thompson mansion, the air was thick with an almost tangible tension. Lucas had arrived early and was already seated in the opulent living room, his demeanor one of calm yet vigilant contemplation. He understood that the meeting to read Beatrix's will would be fraught with emotional turbulence and familial discord. The mansion, with its luxurious furnishings and historical charm, seemed to hold its breath as the drama unfolded. As Peter and Sophia entered the room, their presence immediately altered the atmosphere. Peter, dressed in a sharp, designer suit that spoke of his unrelenting pursuit of success, cast a disdainful glance at Lucas. "Lucas," he said, his tone a mix of contempt and strained politeness, "I see you arrived early. Eager to see what morsels you might be allotted." I suppose Lucas met his brother's gaze with unwavering calm. "I'm here to honor our mother's memory," he responded, his voice steady and resolute. "Whatever her decisions may be, I will respect them." Sophia, ever the embodiment of cold ambition, added with a hint of sarcasm, "Ah, Lucas, always the paragon of virtue. Let's see if your saintly demeanor wins you any favors today." Her smile, though outwardly elegant, betrayed a sharp edge, reflecting her undercurrent of competitive desire. At that moment, Mr. Armstrong, the family lawyer, entered the room, his arrival a welcome interruption to the escalating exchange of barbs. "Good morning, everyone," he began with a solemn tone, his professional demeanor a stark contrast to the familial discord. "I understand that this is a challenging time, but we must adhere to your mother's instructions. Please take a seat. We will begin the reading of the will shortly." The siblings took their places on the sumptuous leather sofas, each consumed by their mix of hopes, fears, and expectations. The grandeur of the room seemed to echo their inner turmoil, as if the very walls of the mansion were aware of the unresolved tensions and rivalries that simmered beneath the surface. For Lucas, the space was a repository of cherished memories and family bonds, while for Peter and Sophia, it represented the potential to further their ambitions and desires. As they awaited the formal reading, the mansion's rich history and the weight of Beatrix's legacy seemed to cast long shadows across the room. Old grievances and competitive spirits were brought to the fore, heightened by the prospect of impending revelations. Each sibling was poised on the brink of a potentially life-altering moment, aware that the contents of the will could dramatically shift the trajectory of their lives. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, as everyone braced for the unfolding revelations that would lay bare the final testament of their mother's enduring influence. Mr. Armstrong, the family lawyer, adjusted his glasses with a deliberate motion and cleared his throat before commencing the solemn task of reading Beatrix's will. The opulent living room of the Thompson mansion was enveloped in a heavy silence, punctuated only by the gentle patter of rain against the large windows. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and unspoken emotions as Lucas, Peter, and Sophia took their places on the luxurious leather sofas, each presenting a distinct emotional tableau. Lucas exuded a serene composure, his demeanor one of quiet readiness. Peter's impatience was evident in his restless tapping of his fingers on the armrest, and Sophia's cold, calculating gaze suggested she was bracing for what was to come. "Good morning, everyone," Mr. Armstrong began, his voice resonating with a deep and respectful tone. "We are gathered here today to honor and execute the final wishes of your beloved mother, Beatrice Thompson. Before we proceed, I wish to extend my heartfelt condolences for the loss of such an exceptional woman." Lucas inclined his head in a gesture of appreciation, while Peter and Sophia exchanged impatient glances, their expressions betraying their eagerness to expedite the proceedings. Peter, unable to contain his frustration any longer, broke the silence with a terse interruption. "Let's get to the point, Mr. Armstrong," he demanded, his tone edged with irritation. "What did our mother leave for us?" Mr. Armstrong shot Peter a stern and measured look, his gaze a mix of reproach and professionalism. "Beatrice was a woman of considerable foresight and wisdom," he continued, his voice unwavering. Anticipating potential disagreements regarding the distribution of her estate, she devised two specific challenges that must be completed to determine the rightful heirs to her fortune. Challenges. Sophia's voice rose with incredulity, her eyes widening in disbelief. "This is absurd. We are her children. We should simply divide the inheritance amongst ourselves." Peter, echoing her sentiment, shook his head vehemently. Exactly. It's nonsensical to impose challenges on us. This feels like an affront. Lucas, striving to maintain his calm amidst the growing discord, interjected with a voice tempered by reason. If these are indeed our mother's wishes, then we must honor them. There must have been a significant reason behind her decision to include these challenges. As Mr. Armstrong prepared to explain further, the room's tension remained palpable. The looming presence of Beatrice's will, coupled with the looming challenges, cast a shadow over the siblings, emphasizing the profound impact of their mother's final instructions. Each sibling was confronted not only with their desires but with the complexity of fulfilling the last wishes of a woman whose legacy would now be tested by the trials she had set forth. Mr. Armstrong, maintaining his composed demeanor, continued reading from the document despite the growing unrest among the siblings. The challenges were meticulously designed by Beatrice to assess not just your abilities but your core character traits. She was a woman of extraordinary foresight and conviction, believing that true worthiness of her inheritance required not only intelligence but also integrity and resilience. Peter, who had been trying to mask his irritation with a veneer of patience, could no longer contain his frustration. With a snort of disbelief, he crossed his arms tightly across his chest. This is utterly ridiculous. I'm her son. Why on earth should I have to prove myself? His voice dripped with indignation, the sense of familial entitlement starkly evident. Sophia, her face a mask of thinly veiled contempt, leaned forward, her sharp eyes narrowing as she addressed Mr. Armstrong. And precisely how are these so-called challenges supposed to work? What exactly are we required to do? Her tone was laced with impatience, reflecting her disdain for the unconventional nature of the will's demands. Mr. Armstrong, unfazed by the outbursts, meticulously opened an envelope and withdrew a document. His movements were deliberate, underscoring the gravity of the situation. As he began to read aloud, his voice resonated with a sense of solemnity that filled the room. The first challenge will unfold within a series of darkened rooms. In these rooms, you will each face 3 boxes. 2 of these boxes contain dangerous venomous creatures, while 1 remains empty. The challenge is to find the empty box first, and you must do so without succumbing to the risk of being bitten. The room fell into an uneasy silence as Peter and Sophia exchanged nervous glances. Their earlier bravado had been replaced by visible apprehension. The prospect of encountering venomous creatures had rattled their nerves. Lucas, however, remained contemplative, processing the implications of the task with a calm and steady demeanor. "And what about the second challenge?" he asked, his voice steady and curious. "What does it entail?" Mr. Armstrong's expression remained stern and unyielding as he continued to elucidate the terms. "The second challenge will involve navigating a complex mirror maze. Your goal is to find the exit in the shortest time possible. This challenge is designed to test not only your courage but also your strategic thinking and ability to make swift, informed decisions under pressure." Sophia, her patience now thoroughly exhausted, rolled her eyes in exasperation and let out a dramatic sigh. This is nothing but a colossal waste of time. Nevertheless, if these are the hurdles we must clear to secure our inheritance, then let's get on with it. I want to see this ordeal finished. Her pragmatic approach was tinged with frustration, reflecting her desire to bypass what she perceived as unnecessary obstacles. Peter, still brooding and visibly agitated, muttered darkly, "I hope this doesn't drag on interminably. I have far more pressing matters to attend to." His dissatisfaction with the entire process was palpable, and his irritation was evident in every word. Lucas, meanwhile, felt a surge of determination. For him, these challenges were not just hurdles to overcome, but a final, profound lesson from his mother. They represented an opportunity to demonstrate his true character, to honor Beatrix's legacy in a manner that transcended mere financial gain. The challenges were not merely tests of physical prowess or quick thinking, but symbols of deeper values that Beatrice had cherished and sought to impart one final time. "I'm ready," Lucas declared with unwavering resolve. "Let's begin." As the siblings prepared to embark on the trials laid before them, the grandeur of the Thompson mansion seemed to loom over them, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. The mansion, with its imposing architecture and rich history, seemed to embody the weight of Beatrix's legacy. The challenges ahead promised to not only determine the division of her estate, but to test the very essence of what it meant to be worthy of her profound and enduring influence. Mr. Armstrong, a figure of unwavering professionalism, nodded in approval at Lucas's resolute response. "Very well, let us proceed to the first challenge. May fortune favor you all," he declared, his voice carrying a weight of gravity that heightened the atmosphere of anticipation. The siblings, now visibly on edge, stood up with a mix of resolve and trepidation, fully aware that these tests would not only determine the fate of Beatrix's estate, but also challenge the very core of their beings. The air grew denser with each passing moment as Mr. Armstrong, flanked by his assistants, led the siblings down a series of dimly lit corridors in the mansion. They were guided to a seldom-used wing, a forgotten part of the estate that seemed to breathe an air of ancient secrets and untold stories. The rain outside pounded relentlessly against the windows, its rhythmic drumming adding to the sense of isolation and tension that enveloped them. The walls of the mansion, adorned with faded and time-worn tapestries, seemed to absorb every sound, creating an eerie silence that amplified their every footstep. Upon reaching the entrance to the 3 dark rooms, Mr. Armstrong addressed them once more, his voice steady despite the tense atmosphere. "Each of you will enter a separate room," he explained, his flashlight casting erratic, dancing shadows on the walls. The beam of light flickered, momentarily illuminating the vast, shadowy expanse before them. Inside each room there are 3 boxes. 2 of these boxes contain venomous creatures, while one remains empty. Your task is to select the empty box without falling prey to the dangers within. Lucas, Peter, and Sophia exchanged brief, determined glances before stepping into their respective rooms. As they crossed the threshold, they were immediately enveloped by profound darkness. The rooms, sparsely furnished with only the faintest silhouettes of old furniture barely discernible in the gloom, exuded an oppressive atmosphere. The boxes, positioned in the center of each room, stood like ominous sentinels, their presence a stark reminder of the challenge that lay ahead. Lucas, driven by a profound respect for his mother's wishes, approached his boxes with deliberate caution. The cold air that greeted him seemed to carry whispers of forgotten memories, and the occasional scurrying sound heightened his senses. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. He recalled his mother's teachings about patience and intuition, lessons learned through years of hardship and resilience. These memories etched deeply into his heart, guided him as he carefully examined his options. Peter, meanwhile, entered his room with an outward display of bravado, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. His posture was rigid, and he adopted a cocky demeanor in an attempt to mask his apprehension. As he approached the boxes, his fingers brushed against the cold, unyielding surfaces, and the occasional rustling sound made him flinch. He tried to remain focused, but the growing sense of dread was hard to ignore. Sophia, ever the strategist, meticulously analyzed the situation. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, darted around the room as she assessed the potential risks. She moved with careful precision, her mind racing through possible scenarios and strategies. Her cold, analytical approach was her armor against the fear that lurked in the dark corners of the room. She knew that every decision had to be made with both caution and speed. As the siblings embarked on their respective challenges, the mansion seemed to hold its breath, the grandeur of Beatrix's legacy looming over them. Each room, with its oppressive darkness and eerie silence, was a testament to the gravity of the tests they were about to face. The trials were not merely physical but emotional and psychological, designed to strip away pretense and reveal the true character of each individual. Lucas, with a heart full of reverence and a mind sharpened by his mother's wisdom, approached his task with the utmost care. He hoped that by honoring her legacy through these trials, he would not only prove his worth but also gain a deeper understanding of the values she had cherished. The journey through the dark rooms was not just a test of survival but a profound reflection of the enduring influence of Beatrice Thompson's life and lessons. Peter, driven by a sense of urgency and frustration, approached the challenge with reckless haste. His impatience led him to make a hasty decision as he quickly selected a box without much thought. With a sense of urgency and irritation etched on his face, he flung open the lid, only to be met with the terrifying sight of a venomous snake lunging at him. With a sharp intake of breath and a rapid reflex, Peter slammed the lid shut and recoiled, his heart pounding in his chest. Determined to escape further peril, he moved swiftly to the next box, frustration mounting with each passing moment. Sophia, on the other hand, exhibited a cold and methodical approach to the task. Her analytical mind was evident as she used the faint beam of her flashlight to meticulously examine each box. With a keen eye and a calm demeanor, she scrutinized every inch, listening intently for any faint sounds or movements that might betray the presence of danger. Her patience and strategic thinking allowed her to navigate the challenge with a calculated precision that contrasted sharply with Peter's frantic approach. After what felt like an eternity of anxious searching and tense anticipation, each sibling emerged from their darkened rooms. Lucas, embodying calmness and methodical patience, was the first to step out, his face a mask of quiet determination. Sophia followed closely behind, her face reflecting a sense of satisfaction mixed with relief, her observational skills having served her well. Peter was the last to exit, his face pale and etched with the strain of his harrowing experience. The pallor of his skin and the tense set of his jaw spoke volumes about the ordeal he had just endured. In the main hall, the siblings regrouped, their faces revealing the toll of the challenge. Mr. Armstrong, standing with a professional demeanor but an underlying sense of gravity, awaited them with a somber expression. "Congratulations to Lucas and Sophia for completing the first challenge," he announced, his voice resonating with both authority and acknowledgement. "Peter, you managed to avoid serious harm, but your lack of patience and impulsiveness nearly cost you dearly." Peter, his jaw clenched and his eyes burning with indignation, fought to keep his composure. He refrained from responding, his pride wounded by the harsh reality of his near misstep. Sophia, with a slight, almost imperceptible smirk playing at the corners of her lips, glanced at Lucas with a mixture of curiosity and competitive spirit. "So what's the next challenge?" she inquired, her eyes sparkling with determination and a hint of excitement. Mr. Armstrong responded by producing a set of maps from his briefcase and handing them out to each of the siblings. "The next challenge involves navigating a mirror maze," he explained, his tone steady and unyielding. "You will need to find the exit in the shortest possible time. This challenge is designed to test your problem-solving abilities, spatial awareness, and your capacity to remain composed under pressure." The siblings looked at the maps, their expressions a mix of apprehension and resolve. Lucas took a deep breath, mentally preparing himself for the upcoming trial. He understood that the maze would require not only physical navigation but also mental fortitude. Sophia, with her strategic mind already at work, began to mentally map out possible routes. Peter, still grappling with the frustration from the previous challenge, steeled himself, determined to prove his worth in this next test. As they made their way towards the mirror maze, the mansion's atmosphere seemed to grow even more charged with anticipation. The gleaming surfaces of the mirrors in the maze promised to reflect not just their physical forms, but also their inner selves, revealing their true natures and the depth of their resolve. The challenge ahead was more than a test of skill. It was a profound opportunity to confront their strengths and weaknesses, to face their fears, and to rise to the occasion in honor of Beatrix's enduring legacy. The maze, an intricate labyrinth of mirrored walls, awaited them, a maze designed with a deliberate intention to disorient and confuse. As they entered, the reflective surfaces created an almost kaleidoscopic effect, multiplying their images and making the path ahead seem endless. The air was thick with tension, each step echoing in the eerie silence as they moved forward, their progress obscured by endless reflections. Lucas, drawing on his reservoir of patience and inner calm, proceeded with a steady, deliberate pace. His methodical approach allowed him to discern patterns and gradually find his way through the maze. Each mirror seemed to whisper secrets to him, and his intuition guided him through the seemingly infinite twists and turns. His focus remained unshaken, his heart beating steadily as he maneuvered through the confusing network of reflections. Peter, on the other hand, was visibly agitated, his previous frustration spilling over into this new challenge. Driven by impatience and a desperate need to prove himself, he moved through the maze with hasty, erratic steps. The reflections seemed to mock his every move, causing him to stumble and second-guess his decisions. His progress was marked by frequent stops and retracings of his steps, his face etched with frustration and exhaustion. Sophia, leveraging her strategic mind, employed a more analytical approach. She observed the reflections, noting the subtle differences in angles and light. Her keen sense of spatial awareness allowed her to form a mental map of the maze, guiding her with precision. Her approach was calculated and methodical, balancing speed with thoughtful analysis as she navigated the maze's complex pathways. As time ticked away, Lucas emerged from the maze first, a look of quiet triumph on his face. His calm perseverance had paid off, and he stood at the exit with a sense of profound relief and accomplishment. Sophia followed soon after, her methodical approach having served her well. She approached the exit with a look of satisfaction, her strategic thinking proving effective in overcoming the maze's challenges. Peter, still grappling with the residual frustration from his previous encounter, eventually found his way out. His face was a mixture of relief and chagrin as he joined his siblings at the exit. Despite his eventual success, the maze had taken a significant toll on him, and the delay was evident in his demeanor. In the grand, echoing main hall of the mansion, the siblings regrouped, their faces reflecting the trials they had just endured. Mr. Armstrong stood poised, ready to deliver the final segment of Beatrice's will. His voice was steady, carrying an air of solemnity as he began to read. "Congratulations to Lucas and Sophia, Mr. Armstrong announced, his tone rich with acknowledgement. You have completed both challenges. Peter, while you did find your way out, the time taken was considerable, and it is a reminder of the importance of patience and perseverance." As the siblings gathered to hear the final will reading, Lucas and Sophia shared a look of mutual respect. They acknowledged each other's strengths, recognizing the different paths each had taken to reach this point. Despite the competitive nature of the challenges, a newfound sense of respect lingered between them. Mr. Armstrong began reading the last part of Beatrix's will, his voice steady and clear. To Lucas he read, "I leave the family's philanthropic foundation with the responsibility of continuing its work and expanding its impact on the community." Lucas's eyes filled with tears as he heard his mother's final words. His heart swelled with emotion as he realized the gravity of the responsibility bestowed upon him. Beatrix's dedication to charitable causes had been a cornerstone of her life, and Lucas was deeply honored to carry forward her legacy. The responsibility of the foundation was not just a financial bequest, but a profound testament to her life's work and values. Sophia, though her ambitions had been thwarted, nodded in acknowledgement of Lucas's new role. Peter, despite his disappointment, offered a strained smile, recognizing the significance of the bequest. The room was filled with a complex mix of emotions: pride, respect, and a touch of regret as the final words of Beatrice brought the challenges to a close and set the stage for a new chapter in the lives of her children. Mr. Armstrong's voice held a steady cadence as he continued reading from the will, the gravity of Beatrix's decisions resonating in every word. To Sophia, he announced, "I leave the mansion and all its contents. May you find solace and fulfillment in preserving this home, which holds within its walls countless cherished memories and the essence of our family's history." Sophia's demeanor softened as she absorbed the weight of her mother's gift. The grand mansion, with its sprawling rooms and intricate details, was more than just a house. It was a repository of their family's past, a silent witness to their shared experiences and milestones. As she stood in the opulent hall, a sense of reverence filled her heart. The mansion, once a symbol of her ambitions, now represented a profound connection to her mother's legacy. "Thank you, Mom," she murmured, her voice tinged with emotion. The mansion's grandeur seemed to embrace her, offering a semblance of peace as she contemplated her new responsibility. Mr. Armstrong then turned his attention to Peter, concluding with the final segment of the will. To Peter, he said, "I leave a substantial sum of money to be invested in ventures of your choosing. I hope that you use these resources wisely and that they bring you success and personal satisfaction." The words were delivered with a sense of finality, underscoring the lesson embedded in Beatrix's decision. Peter's initial reaction was a mixture of surprise and disappointment. The money, though significant, was not the tangible legacy he had hoped for. Yet, as he listened to Mr. Armstrong, he began to appreciate the deeper message behind his mother's choice. The bequest was more than just a financial endowment. It was an opportunity for growth, a chance to forge his path with the resources she had provided. With a nod, Peter acknowledged the inheritance, his expression reflecting a begrudging acceptance. The realization began to dawn on him that this gift was indeed a final lesson from his mother, a lesson in wisdom, responsibility, and self-reliance. As the will's final words were spoken, the siblings stood together, their earlier conflicts and rivalries seemingly softened by the shared experience. The challenges and the inheritance had brought them face to face with their strengths and shortcomings. They looked at one another with a newfound sense of respect, the competitive edge giving way to a mutual understanding of the profound impact of their mother's legacy. Lucas, Sophia, and Peter walk out of the mansion. The rain outside has diminished to a gentle drizzle. The mansion, now behind them, seemed to stand as a silent guardian of their past and their future. Each sibling carried with them a piece of their mother's spirit: Lucas with the mantle of philanthropy, Sophia with the weight of preserving the family home, and Peter with the opportunity to invest and grow. The road ahead was uncertain, but the lessons learned from their mother's will provided a guiding light as they embarked on their respective journeys. The siblings' departure from the mansion marked the beginning of a new chapter, one imbued with the values and teachings of Beatrice Thompson. Though their paths might diverge, the legacy of their mother's wisdom, generosity, and enduring love would remain a common thread, weaving their individual stories into a tapestry of shared history and familial bond. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the poignant and powerful legacy of Beatrice Thompson. As we've explored the emotional and transformative experiences of her children, we've delved into the profound lessons that her final wishes imparted. From the trials of the challenges to the personal revelations of each sibling, we've witnessed how Beatrix's values and wisdom have shaped their lives and futures. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from Beatrix's story and the challenges faced by her children? Is there a particular lesson or insight that resonated with you? Share one thing you've learned and how you plan to bring it into practice in your own life in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content that inspires and enriches. Your support helps us continue bringing you meaningful stories and valuable insights. Thank you for watching.